Okay, boys, let's talk about what could end up being the best series of the whole playoffs. But first off, all the best wishes to Chris Finch, my goodness. Nuggets Wolves, and I do think this will be the toughest challenge the Nuggets have had yet. Because we know the level that Ant went to in the Sun series, and my questions were about his playmaking, and he answered every single one of them and then some. And then the elite defense, Jaden, Nikhil, Ant for ball pressure, whoever you want to put on Murray, most likely going to be Jaden McDaniels. You got the size up front, you've got athletes all around. Like, if there is a defense that can actually slow down the machine known as the Denver Nuggets offense, if it's not this Wolves team, I don't know if there is a team. Looking at the regular season matchups, the Wolves, for the most part, had Gobert guarding Aaron Gordon, and then they had either Cat or Naz Reid if Cat was out, or even a little bit of slow-mo guarding Jokic, to where Rudy could, for the most part, be that help guy playing off of Gordon. Rudy still ended up on Jokic sometimes, and I'm not going to pretend to know for a fact what they're going to do, but again, they had a plan in the regular season matchups, and so if it ends up being that, Cat, you can't get carried away with fouls. And we know that sometimes that can be a problem for Cat. But if he doesn't pick up those fouls and he's just a physical defender on Jokic, which can then allow Rudy to just be Rudy around the rim, I mean, that's just something that nobody else can throw at Jokic post-ups, Jokic drives, that type of thing. A 7-footer on Jokic, a 7-footer in help. Now, of course, you're already saying, okay, but helping off of Aaron Gordon, we see what that can do to teams. He can kill him on the glass, he can kill him on cuts, the whole thing. And trust me, I know, we will get to that. But also, if they do go to that, that means the Cat is going to have to hold up really well on the Jokic-Murray actions. Now, if Jaden, which I assume is going to be Jaden, is trailing Murray on these, I mean, we already saw Jaden's screen navigation versus the Suns. It was great. Similar thing with Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Or Ant if he ends up in these situations, but, Ant in the regular season was typically on MPJ. I got a little sidetracked there. The screen navigation should be good against Jamal Murray. What then happens on these Murray-Jokic two-man actions, assuming that Cat is on Jokic, again, was in the regular season, well, you got a few possibilities. You could have Cat play higher up on these actions, and then you just have Rudy on the back line for Jokic. Again, opens up the possibility of Gordon being able to get something. But again, that's Rudy Gobert waiting on the back line. It's not your average big man. The other possibility could be Cat plays these actions a little safer, which then could just open up Murray pull-ups all day, or maybe Murray tries to dribble off to the side and force the Cat switch because they've done that sometimes. Many possibilities. I don't know what we're going to see. Now, if Rudy ends up being on Jokic a little more often than he was in the regular season stuff, then of course I'm going to trust Gobert to guard those actions well because it's Rudy Gobert. As far as Jokic in the post, well, that's hard for anybody to guard. Well, let's talk about Rudy some more. So again, regular season stuff, he was mostly on Aaron Gordon, helping off of him. The first game that they played, which was in November, it basically broke the Nuggets offense besides Jokic getting his over Cat pretty much. Murray running a screen action with Gordon, no go. He's got Jaden McDaniels in the back end. He's got Gobert waiting in front of him. He had nowhere to go. Multiple drives from Murray or MPJ just walled off because Rudy's just helping off Aaron Gordon, waiting for them right at the rim. He was playing off of Gordon when he had the ball, and Gordon, he just wasn't going to score on Gobert. The Nuggets offense looked bad in that game. On the flip side, the most recent matchup they had in April, Gordon had 8 or 9 assists, and it was the same thing. It's Rudy, he's helping off of him the whole thing. One time they run a DHO action with Murray to take advantage of the fact that Gobert's already playing farther off of Gordon, and so there you go. It's just Murray flowing into a pull-up three. And of course, Rudy can play well out there. We just saw him switching against the Suns and being very successful. It's more so he clearly wants to play off of Gordon. They would also run some stuff where Murray and Jokic would run a screen, and then at the same time, Gordon would cut through the paint. And so it basically forces Gobert to have to worry about two things at the same time. Gordon ends up getting into the dunker spot. Then he throws it back to Jokic for a free throw line jumper. And then they also just had Gordon just sort of operating a little bit more with the ball, around the wing. And it forces Rudy to be out there at least a little bit more. He's still giving Gordon a lot of space. And it's none of this is a mystery to the Nuggets, right? They have dealt with teams helping off Aaron Gordon because what the hell else are you going to try to do against them? But nobody else has Rudy Gobert surrounded by another 7-footer, multiple great athletes who can navigate screens really well and close out really well and be physical in the whole thing. So for whatever all that means, I don't know. I think it's going to be a mixed bag as far as the results there. Sometimes Rudy's going to slide over and Gordon's going to get a dunk, or he's going to get the ball and it's going to be, maybe he'll get it on the baseline and it's a kick to MPJ in the corner or whatever. Other times, Gobert's going to help over and it's going to be oh wow, Jokic doesn't have to deal with this against anybody else. And again, if the Wolves choose to do something different, then okay. Another thing is just thinking about Ant. Again, he was on MPJ the most in the regular season. And of course, Ant is a good enough athlete to where he can help off of MPJ and then make the closeout on him in in the corner. If Jokic has got to make the skip pass, if there's 2 to the ball on him, that sort of thing. As I say that, it's still going to be really difficult. And assuming that KCP is going to be good to go because he was dealing with something at the tail end of that Lakers series, I assume you're going to see Conley chasing him around all these DHO actions. Okay, is that enough for that side? Okay, we can go to the other side of the floor now. And, okay, who's guarding Ant? Well, the regular season, it was KCP. And off rip, if you want to say, well, there's a size difference between them, not in terms of height, but in terms of, strength, muscle, the whole thing. Listen, KCP's good, man. I've already seen a little bit of like, oh, he's got no shot on Ant. I would not dismiss KCP's 1v1 defense like that. Now, again, he was dealing with something at the end of the Lakers series, and we will see if he's good to go. But as far as Ant in general, look, the guy has played 15 playoff games. About half of those games have been at least 30 points, or even a couple of 40-point games, or like 25 on really good efficiency, or a 29-point game on good efficiency. The numbers are the numbers, and you need that type of dude in a series like this. Now, what I've also seen is the idea of, well, do you put Aaron Gordon on Ant? Well, again, they didn't do that in the regular season. They had KCP on him, they had Gordon on Cat for the most part. And that's kind of one of those questions where if you want to put more size on Ant, then who are you putting on Cat? Well, then it becomes, well, can Cat consistently make him pay in the post? What if you bring the double and all that? I mean, listen, the Wolves proved against the Suns, you want to bring those doubles, they're ready for it. Granted, Nuggets are better than the Suns, I understand. But yeah, the other thing to think about is just how they're guarding Ant as a team. We saw the Suns dare Ant to be a playmaker, having Nurkic high up on those screens, bringing two to him when they could, and he just consistently made the right play. Not always the crazy play, like the skip passes were there, but also just the little routine pass to keep the thing moving, all that. I'm assuming the Nuggets are going to do the same thing. In the regular season stuff, they had Jokic at the level of the screen on Ant screen actions, which is not a shock. That is typically the Nuggets' base coverage with Jokic. And it's interesting because there was like one play that stuck out when I was going through the regular season stuff where it was Cat in the corner. And in one sense, it's like, for the Nuggets, that makes it to where Gordon is one of the help guys at the rim. And Gordon's good at that, of course. But it does mean that that skip pass could be going to Karl Anthony Towns. This is assuming, of course, that it's a Rudy Ant screen action and also Jokic on Gobert, which I would assume because that's what it was in the regular season. Similar things for Jaden as well as Nikhil. I mean, I do trust the Nuggets to make their defensive rotation to where they're not getting torched on all the corner actions that it felt like the Suns were at times with those dudes. But still, in that round one, Nikhil had multiple games where he was making that three consistently, or he was going off the dribble. Same thing with Jaden. He had a game there where he was going at KD more than once off the catch. Naz Reid, same thing. He's going to have the opportunity to make the Nuggets pay for throwing extra bodies at Ant. And then, of course, you got the whole, well, if Jokic is higher up on the screens for Ant, then the roll to Rudy could be there, and the window is going to be like half a second long, and Ant, once again, his playmaking has been really good. As far as anybody else with screens, Conley or Jaden or Nikhil, who did have a couple of pull-up threes against the Suns that were cool, I would assume Jokic is just going to be dropping back on those screens, just dare him to make shots, and they could. They already have. With Conley, we already saw Conley be willing to take the pull-ups that the Suns were conceding to him on screen actions with Gobert. A lot of the time, they love the Conley-Gobert empty side two-man game. And some of this is just an acknowledgement of how solid Conley is across the board for them, but also, I do wonder if Conley could end up being kind of the huge thorn in the Nuggets side in the series, where it's like, oh, he made that pull-up three when we were giving it to him. Oh, Ant made the skip pass to Conley in the corner. He made that three where the closeout was okay but not great. Oh, he attacked us off the catch and then made the next play to Cat for a dunk or whatever. Anyway, I'm assuming Jamal Murray will be guarding him the most. And now to talk about Cat specifically. So, of course, Cat, he's going to have some opportunities just in the flow of the game where he's going to have smaller guys on him and they're going to look for him in the post. Then maybe the Nuggets double off of that and we go from there. Or it might be him screening or being part of double screens for Conley or for Ant with Rudy. And then from there he can pop as Rudy's rolling and he can get some open threes off of that. That's all going to be, of course, with Cat. But also, he might just have to get some buckets on Aaron Gordon in this series, if that's what the matchup ends up being, and okay, let's just see what happens there. And if that's not what the matchup ends up being, then okay, don't listen to me. Let's see, X factors in the series, Naz Reid shot making or going off the dribble, if the Nuggets are helping off of him, Christian Brown potentially having to have minutes on significant offensive players for the T-Wolves. Of course, there's the, 6 non-Jokic minutes a game. So yeah, there's probably something I missed. Want my prediction? I am going to still take the Denver Nuggets, but I'm going to do it in 7 games. For I think this Wolves team is that good. And the Wolves are already 1-0 this postseason when I pick against them, so for whatever that means. The reason why I'm going Nuggets, it's funny. We do this whole spiel of, who's guarding who and what the hell are they going to do and all this stuff. And then it just comes back to, for me, I'm not going to pick against Jokic. That's about it. But I love this Wolves team.